On this episode of AV Week, Almo is purchased by Exertis, what that means for manufacturers as well as customers, taking a look at a new Java exploit and how you get your customers to let you to upgrade their systems. All that and more next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week, episode 539, recorded Friday, December 17th, 2021. Distributed mergers.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Draper and by
Extron, industry-leading technology backed by world-class support.
This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. We have got a doozy this week. We've got three fantastic ladies. This is the last news week of the year. We've got two more shows. One's a best of, one's a what would we learn this year. Let's start with the young lady I've seen most recently in person, Gina Sansevero from Atlas IED, and I got to hang out with her in New York just last weekend. So how are you, ma'am?
I am doing very well, and that was a fun evening. Thank you for coming out. It was amazing.
Well, thank you for arranging it. I took my daughter to New York as part of her Christmas, and Gina was nice enough to arrange a really, really kick-ass a bunch of AV folks. So that was really, really cool. So I'm not sure which of you other two that I've seen most recently. So we'll start with Dawn. Dawn Mead, we don't say where she works, but she is on the East Coast, my Maryland, D.C. area. How are you, ma'am?
Very good, thanks. And glad to be on the show again.
Absolutely. And last but not least, this young lady works for someplace new from last time we spoke, Lauren Simon from Crestron. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. How are you?
I am well. Not for nothing, but as a lifelong Cardinals fan, I have two Mets fans in my midst. Both Lauren and Gina are both. I won't talk about what we used to call Mets in the '80s, but you can Google it and look it up. So it wasn't very nice. Let's just put it that way. First story comes to us from everybody and their brother, including AVNation. News this week hit that our friends over at Almo got purchased by our friends over at Exertis. Exertis is owned by DCC Technology, overarching corporation, DCC PLC. We did an interview with both Warren Chaikin and the gentleman from Exertis as well. He's like, we don't talk about the fact that DCC, just because it's like the massive corporation. So we just kind of refer to it as Exertis from there on out in the interview. We did an interview. Mitchell will do fantastic work and put a link to that interview on this episode's page. But one of the things between Clive Fitzharris and Warren Chaikin that they both kind of made 100% known is that this is to help the brands, but also help the customers. One of the pieces out of the interview that shocked me is the fact that the overlap in customer base is less than 50%. And what that means is that the customers that Exertis has, and really quickly, Exertis, if you've lost track of your scorecard, used to be called Stampede 2 years ago, right? So that is kind of where we're at here. Their customers they share less than 50% of their customers, so it helps them in their customer base. It helps them with their vendor relations. Almo, a whole lot of AV folks don't realize they also have an appliance division. That's how Almo started. High-end appliances. They have deals with Best Buy and a bunch of other stores. So it's a significant deal for both groups. Warren, who I've known for forever and a day, is a fantastic just human being in general. He's like, we get to keep the family together because it was a family-owned business. Now it's a family-run business, to quote Warren. Don, I'm going to start with you as the end user on this. When deals like this happen, what does the end user part of you say? What are you concerned about? What is it, or what are you excited about in deals like this?
I'm kind of almost exactly split on how I feel about it.
Okay.
Because on the one hand, it's great news. We have access to things that we didn't have access to previously, that by going through our Almo rep, so to speak, that we might not have had access to if we weren't set up with Stampede or Exertis. And so, and they also get, of course, better buying power with the manufacturers and that sort of thing. A little more priority when you're talking to one of the big behemoths as opposed to the little guys, you know. But on the other hand, it's kind of putting all your eggs in one basket. And not to totally sidetrack the show right at the top, but we're in the midst of the greatest supply chain collapse in history. And right now, all of the integrators and a lot of us end users are going, oh crap, we need these things by the end of the year. Where are we going to get them? Our regular guys don't have them. Hey, let me call these other guys that are distributor that I know have a warehouse. They might have them. Let me try this third group. And by merging together like that, we're getting, you know, a few less names in our back pocket to whip out in a situation like this that, you know, is kind of unusual circumstances. But I think in the long run, putting aside the supply chain concerns, it is going to be a good move. You know, like I said, it gives you more access to more lines and more availability and better pricing. But right now, it's kind of like we could have used a separate company because those warehouses are empty and we don't know when stuff's coming. So,
Gina, we'll continue with this with you. Both you and Lauren work for manufacturers. So how does this, how does this impact your guys' outlook? Because Dawn's right. Suddenly now, instead of 2 clients or 2 vendors, you've got 1.
Right. Well, I mean, clearly it impacts us from a sales standpoint. We have to consolidate how we're going to manage deployment to 2 different distributors, which, is an internal problem that we all have to deal with. So no big deal. We've been doing it for a long time with all of these mergers and acquisitions now. So I think our accounting department and our sales ops people have gotten used to that. I think from our standpoint, when you have an organization that consolidates like this, it helps, I think, it helps our integrator partners. And the reason why I say that is because right now, integrators are dealing with supply chain shortages, but they're also dealing with really condensed project timelines. So what was put on hold has now started up again. And when that happens, cash flow becomes a real issue. You have to buy a ton of product for a short amount of time, but you're not going to get paid until that project is commissioned. And if you're waiting on an amplifier to commission that project, you might be waiting a couple of months, right? So at this point, if you can go through distribution, they generally have better terms. They generally have better pricing models, and they might be able to help your cash flow. So when you have the buying power of a distributor consolidated like this, and their extension, their arm, becomes a little bit longer into the manufacturer's kind of coffers there, they might be able to help our integrator partners complete projects or at least extend their terms so that they're not so squeezed on their cash flow.
All right, Lauren, same kind of question. You've worked for a number of manufacturers. Gina's right about, consolidating everything into one warehouse. But also, looking at it from a standpoint of choice, right? Now, certain integrators only have, they've only got to be able to one choice. One of the things that both Warren and Clive mentioned was the ability to package deals, right? And distributors have the unique ability, or a unique ability, to take a look at a solution and go, oh, I can use this from Crestron, I can use this from Atlas, and I can use this from this one over here, package it together, and here you go, Mr. and Mrs. Integrator. So what does this look like for you from your perspective as again, somebody who's worked for a couple different manufacturers?
Yeah, I mean, listen, both Dawn and Gina said a lot of great things, particularly about supply chain. When you bring distributors like this together that both have potentially different levels of inventory, right, it does open up the amount of products that you can access. So if you have a project that you just can't, you have to finish, but you may not have the right part, with a distribution merger like this, you have some capabilities to go, okay, I need something that does X, Y, and Z. Yes, I spec'd in this, but maybe something else can get us to that point and get us what we need without having to completely redo the entire installation. So that does open up more possibilities. The other thing with kitting is it got opened up a couple of years ago. Some of the mid-tier distributors really started doing it and taken on is being able to pack, pull, and ship as an order. And so instead of having to go out to 3 or 4 different distributors and say, okay, I need 5 products here, 10 here, 15 there, all that can get kitted as to and shipped out as one order going directly to the job site, making the installation side of it a lot simpler.
I was just going to say my last thought on the whole story was my first thought when I read it. And that's, wow, it's going to be really hard to fit hashtag Exertis Almo E4V Expo on a tweet and still have room to talk about it.
No, you also forgot about the big book of AV in there too, because that's what Stampede's regional show, and that is one of the things that we don't know yet, right? And something I learned from the corporate side, I understand. So Almo, it was a family-owned, family-run business. DCC is a publicly traded company, and I am so trying not to get sued here. There were things that they couldn't discover and find out about each other until the deal was done, right? From a legal SEC is a football. SEC, Security and Exchange Commissions. SEC standpoint, there were things that they couldn't talk about, right? That was probably one of them. And so we don't quite know where the Exertis side is with the big book of AV and their regional shows. And like Dawn said, the E4 experience. So yeah, that'll be something that we know.
If I may add, I've been through this on both sides, right? I've been through being acquired by a publicly traded company when I was a privately held company. And Tim, you hit the nail on the head, right? There's going to be things that they find out, but I'm sure with companies like this, the due diligence is done very, very well. And, it should be a pretty smooth process.
Oh, I was going to say, and I think Gary Kay is fully prepared to do his next E4 keynote with the Stampede girls on either side of him. So
they got rid of the Stampede girl. That was the thing, is when Exertis took over, somebody said something about, well, there goes the Cowboys and the Gates, right? the hoedown and Infocom. It was gone this year, right? They when Exertis took over, the whole Stampede thing was it's a lot more streamlined and slick now. So
I'm curious to hear if there are any challenges or how smooth the transition goes with that kind of residential appliance side of things, right? This organization that is so pro AV focused and might dabble in some IT and potentially some security is now an appliance distributor.
That is one of those things. So Sam, that has helped start up the Pro AV division of Almo, right? He is, my understanding, he is going to still stay on the Pro AV side, and that is going to be kind of like the Exertis side, right? Now, I 100% could be talking out of turn here, but that is my understanding, is that the Exertis side is going to be kind of the AV side, but the Almo side is still going to have the hooks into the appliance, into that distributor, right? So Sam Taylor is, they're kind of combined. Sam Taylor is the gentleman who helped start the Pro AV section of Almo. He is going to do kind of an Exertis Almo Pro AV side, and then Warren is going to stick on the Almo appliance side, is my understanding. But as we've all just kind of said, discovery and the integration of this is going to take a minute. So I don't think that any of us, and I'm certain that they don't know yet either, how all that will shake out.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching this first segment of AV Week. To check out the rest of the episode for free, click on the link below or go by the website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.